Hey guys, so I haven't updated since my husband's brain aneurysm, so here's an update. He's doing amazing. He's already learned to walk, talk, and eat all on his own again. He was in the hospital, like in the, what do they call it? The ICU for brain trauma patients. He was in there for 2 weeks. It was a rough 2 weeks. He didn't remember me there for a bit. There were days he didn't even remember his brother. It was really scary, and the whole situation was super scary. I did really awesome like the first week. Like I was Superwoman, and then I became human again and had to excuse myself from his room and just cry. I found they had like this special area for families to shower and have lockers and stuff, and I just went in there and fell apart. After about an hour, I was okay. I went back and was able to help take care of him. I had a couple of breakdowns like that. One in particular, he didn't remember me. And there were a few days off and on he'd remember me. Valentine's Day in particular, he had his surgery on the 12th. Which was a Monday, and then he woke up for like the first time on Wednesday morning, which was February 14th, and he looked at me, and I said, "Hey, do you know who you are?" And he nodded, and I said, "Do you know where you are?" And he nodded. And I said, "Do you know who I am?" And he nodded. And I can't remember, I said something like, "Am I your wife?" And he was like, "Mm-hmm." And I said, "It's Valentine's Day," and he smiled, and it was so precious. But a couple of his nurses were like, "I'm not entirely convinced that his nodding means absolute yes," because sometimes they'd ask him, like, "Is your name Bob?" And he would shake his head. But they'd be like, "Are you in an airplane?" And he'd, like, you know. So they didn't think that it was always entirely appropriate that he was nodding. Also, he had to eat through a tube for a long time because he wasn't able to swallow. Oh, he couldn't walk, so they had like it was basically a puppy pad. They call it Chucks, but it's like a puppy pad for humans on the bed, and then he was catheterized, and we got into a fight a couple of times because he would try to there was one night he somehow pulled his artery line out of his arm, and I woke up to his dad like yelling like my name, and I woke up and there's blood everywhere. It's just squirting everywhere, and I'm like, "Oh!" About that time the nurses run in and they get it, and we're all kind of, his dad was not laughing, but me and the nurses were like, "Wow, that was really impressive." And Rich just laying there like looking around like, "That's a lot of blood." And then he doesn't remember anything from the hospital. But when he was released from the hospital, he was taken to a long-term acute rehabilitation facility, and that's where they teach you to walk and eat, and you'll have speech therapy and things like that. So English is Amrit's fourth language. First, he speaks Punjabi, then Hindi, then Urdu, and then English. So it was really interesting because he was able to understand English, but he was not able to respond in English. So it was really interesting. I guess I can't flip the camera while I am, yeah. But here is the scan of his brain. That's the aneurysm. Wow, I apologize. This is so terrible. But look at, I mean, that's huge. It's huge. I can't remember exactly what they called it, but it was referred to as a giant aneurysm. In total, it was 3 centimeters, and it was right in between the part of the brain that can like speak and the part that remembers languages. So it did take him about 2 weeks to be able to speak again. And the night that he called me the first time, I can say a few things in Punjabi. I can say Sat Shri Akal, which means hello, or I think like literally it means like go with God, something like that. But Satshri Akal and Kikariyanda, which is what are you doing, you know, things like that. So we're kind of able to like very minimally communicate, but he understands all English. So that day in particular, I was so happy to hear his voice because I hadn't heard it in like 3 weeks, and I was a big crybaby. And this cat is so weird. She puts things in the dish, in the water dish to play with. She's just a weirdo. Anyway, but yeah, oh, I should show you his scar. It's super impressive. I'm like, oh. So yeah, that's the scar. I think in total it's like, I don't know, 8 inches, if maybe a foot, like 6 inches here and then 6 inches down. But he's really bounced back. He has an appointment on the 27th with the neurosurgeon who handled everything to see, you know, like how soon he can start walking again, and he is walking, how soon he can start driving again. His physical therapists have basically told him, you don't need us anymore. But he was in the acute rehabilitation center for 3 weeks and then was released home to his parents. And the reason for that is his parents live within like a 5-minute drive to the hospital in case something happens. And they say after 2 months of that, he can come back home to me. So I am very much looking forward to that. But it's been interesting. A lot going on in addition to that. And yeah, I miss my YouTube channel. Oh, I've also been making more Sailor Moon stuff, which I need to make a video of, but I probably won't do it now because it's 11 o'clock at night and I need to go to bed so that I can go to work in the morning because I'm 36 years old. Wow, I am getting up there. Okay, bye everyone.